Please remain standing. I'd like to introduce C.J. Arena, President of the Student Activities Council, who will lead us in the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please remain standing for the national anthem as performed by Anna Rayberg.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Good morning and welcome to the 49th commencement exercises of Montville Township High School. I'm Douglas Sanford, and as principal, it's my honor and pleasure to share this morning with our 2020 graduates, their families, and their friends. Without a doubt, graduation is the high point in the academic life of a high school student. It's also a time of great pride and joy, not only for the parents and relatives of the graduate, but also for the faculty and school administration. Before we begin, there are two important announcements I'd like to make. First, your face covering must remain on at all times throughout the ceremony. The only exception that would be allowed, and only if you feel comfortable, is when you walk across the stage so that grad images can take your picture. However, as soon as you take your last grad images picture, you should put your face covering back on. Secondly, we expect that you will conduct yourselves in an appropriate manner throughout our ceremony. If any student violates our code of conduct, the ceremony will be stopped and the student will be escorted off the field. No additional warnings will be given. This is your final opportunity to gather as a class, and we would like to make this ceremony as dignified, special, and meaningful as possible. Today's ceremony wouldn't be possible without the members of our school support staff, and I'd like to thank Mr. Steve Toth, Mr. Rich Medwin, members of our maintenance staff, members of our custodial staff, and members of our main office administrative staff who have been working tirelessly to prepare our campus for today's ceremony. Please give them a round of applause. At this time, I'd like to recognize and introduce members of our Board of Education and District Administration, some of whom are in attendance today. Mr. Charles Grau, President of the Board of Education. Mr. Michael Palma, Vice President of the Board of Education. Dr. Karen Cordolino, Mr. Joseph Daughtry, Mrs. Christine Fano, Dr. David Modrak, Mr. Michael Rappaport, and Mrs. Michelle Zuckerman, the other members of our Board of Education. Also here today, Dr. Renee Rovtar, our Superintendent of Schools. Mrs. Katine Slunt, our school business administrator, Dr. Casey Shorter, our assistant superintendent, and Mrs. Andrea Woodring, our assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction. Several directors and supervisors supported you throughout your 4 years at school, and I'd like to recognize them. Hold your applause until I get through the list of names. Mrs. Jennifer Desay, our Director of Special Services. Mr. Wayne Garino, our Director of Athletics. Ms. Leslie Scheckman, our Director of School Counseling. Mr. Austin Thompson, our Director of Information Technology. Dr. Jessica Clark, Supervisor of World Languages and ESL. Mr. Edward Fleischman, Supervisor of the Arts. Dr. Sandra Schwartz, Supervisor of Business, Math, and Science. Mrs. Patricia Stryker, Supervisor of Special Services. And last but not least, Mr. David Tubbs, Supervisor of Humanities. And I can't go any further in the ceremony without recognizing two gentlemen who supported you throughout your 4 years here, Mr. David Gelber and Mr. Kenneth Nadzak, the two assistant principals here at the high school. Give them a big round of applause. I'd also like to recognize several students who, through their dedication and efforts, have demonstrated not only their academic talents, but also distinguished themselves in leadership positions. They have made Montville Township High School a better school through their efforts and spirit. It's my pleasure and honor to recognize the members and the officers of the senior class and the senior officers of the Student Activities Council. Please stand and be recognized when your name is called, and please remain standing until all officers have been identified. For the class of 2020 officers, Shrikar Gudamela as president, Derek Gilmore as vice president, Matthew Lorenzo as treasurer, Rebecca Sherman as recording secretary, Andrew Lynn as corresponding secretary, and Allison Massey as public relation. Thank you to the class of 2020 officers. You folks can have a seat as we switch over to SAC. The senior members of the Student Activity Council, CJ Arena as president, Colleen Kelly as vice president, Maxwell Metz as treasurer, Hunter Colmoden as corresponding secretary, Ryan Kawadi as public relations, and Juliana Morella and Kyle Quinn as community liaisons. Thank you very much for your service to both the senior class officers and the senior members of the SAC. Our co-advisors to the class of 2020 are Mr. Charles Fisher and Ms. Catherine Rohrbach. They're off to my left, your right. Give them a big round of applause for supporting you throughout your 4 years. Also at this time, I have the distinguished honor of introducing and congratulating the class of 2020 Salutatorian, Kiara Moon, and the valedictorian, Christine Sun. Congratulations to both of them on their academic success in high school. It is with a deep sense of pride that I congratulate each of you on your accomplishment of graduating from high school. Through your hard work, dedication, and perseverance, you're poised to enter the next important phase of your life. I wish you the happiness and success that you deserve. So again, good morning, members of the Board of Education, fellow school district administrators, township elected officials who might be watching on the live stream, high school faculty and staff, dear family, friends, and loved ones, again, who might be watching on the live stream. We are here today to honor the students seated before us, the class of 2020. In the virtual graduation, I offered words of advice about appreciating education, pursuing lifelong learning, and truly appreciating home and family. If you haven't had the chance to watch the virtual graduation yet, I encourage you to do so. Please know I don't offer that recommendation because of my speech. Instead, I suggest you watch it because of the way the video pays tribute to the greatness of the class of 2020. Every year I talk to the senior class on the last morning of the last day of their high school career. I say to them, there really aren't too many experiences that you can only do once in a lifetime. You can have children more than once. You can get married more than once. You can graduate college more than once. But you can only graduate high school once in a lifetime, and there is no second chance. The class of 2020 will go down in the history books as being the first class to do many great things. I have to admit, though, I didn't think I'd ever see a day that a class would be the first to graduate high school twice. I don't say that in jest or sarcastically. Instead, I mention it because many people believe the purpose of today is to allow the senior class to be together one more time as a group before you begin the next chapter of your life. That's a great, great reason to get together. But I have to tell you, in my opinion, there's an even bigger reason. Everyone who's here today, all the students who are here today, would you raise your hand for just a moment? Either one, left or right. Keep your hand raised as I ask a few questions. If you started thinking about graduation for the first time a month ago, you can go ahead and lower your hand. If you started thinking of it before that, keep your hand up. Now, if you started thinking about it at the start of your senior year, you can drop your hand. If you started thinking about graduation 4 years ago when you started your high school career, you can drop your hand. So now, as I look out across, everybody can drop their hands now because I only see a handful of them. Most, if not all, the hands were down when we said that at the start of your high school career. So now what I want you to do is think about this. Contemplate this question. Imagine for a second, you don't have to call anything out. Think of the person who is the most loving person in your life, the most influential person in your life. Might be a parent, might be a sibling, or some other loved one. I want you to imagine for a second, when did that person start thinking about your high school graduation? Might have been a month ago, might have been a year ago. Again, you don't have to call out the answer, but I'd be willing to bet that many of you, when you're thinking about that loved one and them imagining you at high school graduation, they probably started thinking about it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe 17 or 18 years ago, right on the day you were born. And they had an image in their mind, whether it was a cap being tossed in the air, a point where you walk across the stage. Those were the images that they had in mind. You see, today is just as much about getting the class of 2020 together one last time as it is about fulfilling a dream that many of you, that your family members, and the loved ones have had for many years. I hope that each of you really soaks in today's experience and that you treasure the next hour as we, one last time, celebrate the class of 2020. So for the last time, I'll say this. Congratulations to each member of the class of 2020. I hope that each and every one of you has a pleasant and rewarding life. At this time, I would like to introduce Shrikar Gudamela, President of the class of 2020.
Graduation is the culmination of a long journey, a final chance to gather as a class. This mic's kind of hot. Can I use that one? Can I use that mic or not? It's kind of hot. Sure. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Graduation is the culmination of a long journey, a final chance to gather as a class. We've shared more than just some classes or a building together. We've shared laughs, friendships, memories. Graduation was always going to be a special moment. But after a school year that was cut short, after the cancellation of many senior events, after a last day of school that none of us knew would be our last, I can't help but feel that this moment holds so much more meaning than it would have otherwise. But even in such a special moment, we shouldn't forget about the world around us. This year has made it clear that we could all stand to benefit from some more reflection. So let's reflect on our journey. Many of us grew up in this town. Our experience and education here has formed our perspectives, our philosophies, how we view the world. And our parents and teachers have done their best to shape us into compassionate, moral people. But we need to recognize that our experiences and our perspectives are limited. There's an entire world outside of Montville. We must accept that there's a wide array of experiences in this country that are different from our own. We must accept that in America, some people are treated much more differently than others. Whether we like it or not, this country has a long history of inequalities, and those inequalities still persist today. As Americans, we've always prided ourselves on our ability to create progress. That's what makes this country great. Now we must embrace our roles in making our world better. Thurgood Marshall once said, "None of us got where we are solely by pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. We got here because somebody, a parent, a teacher, an Ivy League crony, or a few nuns bent down and helped us pick up our boots. Now, if we reflect on our time in Montville, I'm sure every one of us will find an entire network of people who helped us to where we are today. Parents, teachers, counselors, siblings, coaches, we should all take the opportunity to thank them. But imagine how our lives would have gone if we didn't have those people in our lives. That's the reality for many kids in America. Maybe they go to an understaffed school where the teachers are overworked and unable to look after the students. Maybe one of their parents was removed from their lives because of imprisonment. And maybe that forced their other parent to work 3 jobs in order to survive, leaving the parent with no time to help his or her kids with homework. Instead of ignoring the struggles of others because it doesn't directly concern us, let's be the people who stop, bend down, and help them with their boots. So I ask you all to do one thing. Make your education about the world, its people, its history, and its cultures, a lifelong pursuit. Don't let it end now that we've graduated from high school. Don't let it end 4 years from now when you graduate from college. Make it a point to find new information about the world around you every day. Seek out and study great scholars and leaders, especially those you never learned about in history class. Read their books and essays. Watch documentaries. Listen to podcasts. And if you're only reading or watching or listening to things created by people who look like you and believe the same things as you, then you're doing it wrong. There are 7.6 billion people who share this earth with us, and many of them look different than you and me. Many of them hold different beliefs. Many of them live very different lives. They face obstacles we've never encountered. We have to make the sincere effort to listen to people who are different from us, especially those who've historically been denied a voice. And we must try our hardest to empathize with what they experience. That's the first step toward progress. There's a lot of room for improvement in the world around us, but I'm confident that we, the class of 2020, have the ability to change the world for the better. Over the last 4 years, I've witnessed so many incredible accomplishments from our grade. I've seen displays of incredible determination, perseverance, and selflessness from my classmates regularly during my time at MTHS. You all are the reason that I'm proud to be a Mustang. So today, let's celebrate the past 4 years and all of our amazing memories. But tomorrow, let's use the talents that made us such an incredible class to make a change. We've left our mark on MTHS. Now it's time for us to make our mark on the world.
One of the most important and demanding roles for an educator is to serve as class advisor. The class of 2020 is indeed very fortunate to have advisors with the dedication, energy, and motivation of Mr. Charles Fisher and Miss Catherine Rohrbach. Both the administration and the class of 2020 owe each of them a tremendous thank you for a job well done. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Charles Fisher and Miss Catherine Rohrbach, the senior class advisors.
Dr. Rovtar, members of the Board of Education, Mr. Sanford, administrators, and the graduating class of 2020. Good morning and welcome on behalf of myself and Mr. Fisher. It is very nice to be here in person with all of you. When I addressed you during our virtual graduation, I spoke of your humanity, empathy, and compassion, and what an overall special group of young people you are. The event that occurred on Memorial Day in Minneapolis and the subsequent events ultimately touched virtually every community in our nation. I know in my heart that we Americans are a good people and that our kindness, generosity, and sense of fairness are recognized around the world. I also know that the vast majority of us are driven to do the right thing in our interactions with all people regardless of who or what they are. But that is not enough. We can no longer take satisfaction from the knowledge that we ourselves are not hateful or hurtful. We need to sensitize ourselves to intolerance and confront it wherever we encounter it. We must all participate in the evolution of this country to one that affords fairness, equity, opportunity, and prosperity to every American. This class will be a force in that evolution. Use that empathy, compassion, and strength of character to make changes, no matter how small they may seem. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. You, the class of 2020, are such a group of citizens. Mr. Fisher and I congratulate you, the class of 2020.
Dr. Rovtar, members of the Board of Ed, administration, faculty, parents if there are any, friends, and most of all the graduating class of 2020. Good morning and welcome. To the class of 2020, right now the world is still of uncertainty and has been for the past few months, beginning in mid-March and continues to be. Things are starting to open back up, but normal, as we once knew it, has come and gone. We as a society have to come up with a new normal. Most of you sitting out here today are planning on going away to college in the fall, but that could change in a split second if we have to go back to distance learning, and I truly hope not. College is the best 4 years of your life, if you want it to be. But remember, you are there to get an education. If you are planning to go into the workforce, there is a lot of uncertainty there as well. I truly believe things are not only going to get better, and we as a society will be better off because of it. One word that comes to mind for the class of 2020 is perseverance. Perseverance is defined as persistency in doing something despite difficulty in achieving success. This class has persevered through distance learning, no sports, whether you participate or watch them, and some of you will never have the opportunity to play them again unless you're playing in some recreation league somewhere down the road. Unfortunately, you missed out on all of the senior activities that we had planned for you. Breakfast, prom, and picnic, to name a few. And most of all, you missed out on the social aspect of seeing your friends, teachers, counselors, and coaches every day. Google Meet, Zoom, Facebook, and Instagram is not the same as being with them each and every day. Back 40 years ago, this past February, one of the greatest upsets in the world of sports occurred. Some people called it a miracle. If you were alive to witness it, everybody remembers exactly where they were at that moment. This feat was accomplished by a group of unheralded college hockey players in a little town in Lake Placid, New York. The United States beat the Soviet Union 4-3 in a hockey game. The Russians were dominant in hockey, had won gold medals for 20 straight years, with the exception of 1960. To the players, it was just another hockey game, but to the country, it was a whole lot more. The country and world we lived in at the time were in turmoil and uncertainty, just like today, but in a much different way. One thing that people failed to realize was that the U.S. team had to win Sunday morning to clinch a gold medal, or the players walked away with no medal at all. And one of the greatest upsets in sports would have gone for naught. In every game the U.S. played, they trailed and had to come from behind to win or tie a game. What this team showed was grit, resiliency, hard work, and perseverance, much like the class of 2020. The coach of the team, Herb Brooks, taught them a new style of ice hockey to play, but life's lessons he taught them off the ice were even more valuable. He taught his team that if you are willing to work hard for something and you believe in it, then you can accomplish anything. Here are some of his life lessons. Follow your head as well as your heart. Set goals in life and work hard to achieve them. Pay your dues and eventually you'll be rewarded. Make the most of your opportunities when they present themselves. Loyalty will open the doors for you. Whether you choose to walk through those doors is up to you. Figure out what's your passion, define it, own it, and stand behind it. There are many more life's lessons, but I chose only a few I felt were appropriate and can be applied anywhere. One of Herb's favorite sayings was this: "You can't be common. The common man goes nowhere. You have to be uncommon." Back in 2015, I began a journey to complete a master's degree. This was the fourth time I had returned to college after being out of school for 21 years or longer. I began to pursue my master's degree in coaching and athletic administration through Concordia University in Irvine, California. Upon completion in 2017, I now have 221 college credits. Trust me, if I could sell you some of these credits, I would. One of the elective courses I chose to study was called Women in Sports. Why did I choose to take this course? Because it sounded interesting. Well, not only was it interesting, fun, in-depth, eye-opening, and gave me a whole different perspective on the sports world. Our instructor, who's a woman named by the name of Dee Dee Kingsbury, was an All-American softball player at UCLA. She challenged us. And trust me, gentlemen, there are tons of great women athletes out there that are 10 times better than you will ever be. One project we had to complete was to research a world-class female athlete and write a perspective on her. I chose Katharina Witt, the East German figure skater who I mentioned in my previous speech. I remember watching her compete in the 1984, 88, and 92 Olympic Games. She won 2 gold medals, 1 bronze, and countless world championships. Many people considered her the GOAT, greatest of all time in the figure skating world, way before this term was applied to Tom Brady. Things that stood out about Katharina was she was not only a world-class athlete, but she had an outstanding work ethic, was personable, had class, showed compassion, had grace and style, and was drop-dead gorgeous. She elevated women's figure skating to a whole new level by captivating her audience. I have three quotes from Katharina that I would like you to listen to and think about. Number 1, somewhere your self-belief will pay off, and you will get a chance to show what you can do. 2, she discovered the magic's in a journey. It's what gives shape and purpose to our lives. It makes us who we are. 3, every decision you make involves consequences. Follow your dream means taking risks. Katharina displays class, dignity, and intelligence that has made her a successful businesswoman long after her skating days were over. For those of you that I had never had in a classroom and really didn't get a chance to know me over the past 4 years, I will tell you a few things and my students can vouch for me. 1 is I am extremely honest. 2, I pull no punches. I tell you like it is. I treat my students like adults. I don't like people that are fake or lie. And I teach my students the way it's going to be in the real world. So, I will leave you with a few thoughts. 1, you are going to spend the next 30 or 40 years of your life working. So truly do something that you love and make a difference. 2, money doesn't make happiness. There are more miserable people in the world with money than there are happy people. 3, smile, bring enthusiasm, don't be afraid to laugh even at yourself, and don't be afraid to show your emotions. Something that I'm not good at, but getting better at. And lastly, learn, if you haven't, to appreciate your parents because they have sacrificed more than you realize to mold you into who you are and who you are about to become. To the class of 2020, I wish you the best of luck on your new journey, which is about to begin. Thank you.
At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce CJ Arena, President of our Student Activities Council.
We are the class of 2020. We have lost spring sports, senior activities, memories, and most importantly, time. We were the generation that was supposed to be lazy and nap through life. We were the generation that would brainlessly scroll through TikTok and never work hard. However, now we have become something greater. When the world told us we would be 6 feet apart, we gained patience. We learned integrity because we realized that most hard work goes unnoticed. And finally, we found love and appreciation because everything we had in high school was taken away. Love and appreciation can be learned through anything, but mine came through a member of my family. Russell is a black lab Cocker Spaniel mix, and I probably gave him a few too many pieces of bacon when I was younger. Not only is he the cutest one in the Arena family, but Russell embodies love and appreciation. However, more importantly, Russell is absolutely clueless. When I wasn't home, I experienced most of my greatest memories. I won games, made friends, traveled, and just had fun. I also experienced most of my worst memories. I failed miserably, struck out, and I went to the emergency room. But the most amazing thing is, Russell doesn't know any of this. And to be honest, he doesn't care. He doesn't care if I had one of the best days or the worst days. He was just happy I was home. Especially in those bad days, his unconditional love and appreciation lifted me up. On those bad days, when I was so close to kicking the dog, as they say, and exploding in anger and rage, I felt hopeless, like the world was crumbling and slipping through my fingers. But his love always prevailed. That strength that you feel in those moments helps you battle and move forward. This is the most important skill the class of 2020 has learned in these past 3 months. Love. We had everything taken away, and we learned that we have family and friends that love us. We have teachers that appreciate us, and who we appreciate even more. And finally, with this love, we will no longer take things for granted. Going out into the world, spreading that love and appreciation is one thing that we have all learned at one point or another in Montville. This is not a graduation speech, because we already graduated. This is a call to action. The class of 2020 has a fantastic opportunity in front of us, and we are prepared to attack it. The world needs love now more than ever, and we're the generation to give it. We have a new skill set that is propelling us to do something great. We are the class of 2020, and nobody can flatten our curve. Thank you.
At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the class of 2020 Salutatorian, Kiara Moon.
As I started making plans to move on campus and leave the of my parents' home, I realized that without my family, I'd probably die. The list of dishes I can cook is dangerously short, and I almost always lack the basic knowledge about safety and finances. Only at the end of my high school experience am I finally realizing how much my family does for me, and how grateful I am that they've kept me alive for the past 18 years. But there are also the tiny things they do every day to make my life better. Once, Before a trip to visit my cousins during Christmas, my mom ran back into the house to eat a bite of every single cookie I made for Santa, just so that when I returned home, it would look like Santa and his reindeer had visited. And now, during the pandemic, my dad reminds me every hour to wash my hands, delivers a lecture on how to properly wear a mask every time I go out, and gives me random bottles of hand sanitizers as gifts. So, as I prepare to move away from my parents for the fall semester, I'm incredibly grateful for my parents' unwavering support. But I also realize that family doesn't have to be limited by the people we live with or who we're born into. Instead, we can choose to create new communities and support our friends as if they were family members. As I entered high school, I soon realized that the class of 2020 had found another kind of family. One that would also look after its members and take care of the smallest of details. Counselors made the college application process infinitely easier, and teachers met with students outside of the appointed class time to help them. And as we transition to distance learning, I know this graduating class felt the support of everyone at MTHS, even as more teachers dropped off gifts at students' homes, and administrators planned 3 separate graduations for us. But beyond having an amazing support system at home and school, we got the chance to meet so many amazing students, each with their own stories to tell and memories to make. Every single year, this class has amazed me with its ability to forge new friendships and come together in times of grief and joy. We participated in protests, advocated for change, and reached out to friends in need. But we also cheered at sports games, organized students' events, and created the craziest of memories. In the past 4 years, we formed a new community of students willing to work together to overcome tragedy, but also willing to celebrate together after every single victory. But after so many shared experiences, it seems scary to move on. But as I look back on previous years and look forward to what the future may hold, I know that the memories I made in high school will stay with me for a long time, and the relationships I've made will never truly go away. I've seen MTHS graduates return to the school to help out their old sports teams or clubs. During breaks, I know we'll come back home to reconnect with old friends. And even years later, our time at the high school will stick with us as some of our fondest memories. The community we've created here won't just fade with time. Instead, the relationships we made will last long into the future.
Our valedictorian, Christine Sun, could not be in attendance today, but we acknowledge her contribution to the class of 2020 and thank her for her beautiful speech she delivered during our virtual graduation. We've reached that point in the program where we'd like to offer a few words of congratulations and reflection to the graduates. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Renee Rovtar, Superintendent of Schools.
Good morning, members of the class of 2020. I don't have a speech, but I could not pass up on the opportunity to wish you in person all the best. You are an amazing class. Your perseverance, second to none. I also thank your parents and the teachers and administrators that have worked with you over the years to create a class that truly, it has been my honor and joy to cheer you on over these past 4 years. You are amazing. I look forward to what you will create when you leave MTHS, and I wish you the best always.
It's now my pleasure to introduce the President of the Board of Education, Mr. Charles Grau.
Thank you, Mr. Stanford. I have a 25-minute speech all prepared, but Renee said I couldn't give it, so I would just like to share a couple comments with you. 2020, it's a year that none of us will ever forget, especially you guys. This is my 27th high school graduation of which I've been in attendance, having had 4 youngsters go through and been to every one since I've been on the Board of Education. You people have demonstrated outstanding fortitude, outstanding leadership, outstanding perseverance in the last 4 or 5 months. It is my great honor as President of the Board of Education, and on behalf of my colleagues who are sitting over to my left, on behalf of the staff at the high school, on behalf of the citizens of Montville, we wish you nothing but the best as you move forward. Always remember Montville, because Montville will always remember you. Congratulations again to the class of 2020. Thank you.
It's my honor to initiate that part of the commencement exercises for which we've been patiently waiting, the presentation of diplomas. Dr. Rovtar, Mr. Grau, by the power vested in me as the principal of Montville Township High School, and on behalf of the faculty, it's my honor to certify that the members of the class of 2020 have met all of the requirements for the diploma set forth by the state of New Jersey and the Montville Township Board of Education. So it's with great pleasure that I present to you the class of 2020 for presentation of their diplomas. In order to honor and recognize each member of the class of 2020, I'll be announcing the names of every graduate, even if they are not in attendance. Besma Abuliam, Anusha Adil, Nilab Fatima Ahmadi, Mahiba Akbar, Asma Alabaidi, Farouz M. Al-Bukhari, Giovanna Angiolini, Stephanie Morgan Arrigo. Feel free to clap as we go, guys. Lindsay Sloan Axelrad, Taylor Lane Barbosa, Madison Carolyn Baum, Tanea Zamira Beard, Tony Ann Alida Bednars, Lauren Nicole Biermeister, Sylvia Grace Bell, Rebecca Marilyn Binsky-Jackson, Ananya Bajala, Dominique Joanna Boncourt, Marissa Ann Bordenaro, Cara Ann Boyle, Madison Brown, Jennifer Nicole Bunda, Chelsea Jessica Burns, Lexi Riley Burns, Lauren Madison Bustamante, Victoria Marie Canning, Amanda Marie Castellino, Kate Ann Casapula, Gabriella Nicole Cassiano, Averine Chahal, Nina Jean Chirico, Michelle Chong, Claudia Alexa Colatrella, Kelly Ann Connolly, Samantha Marino Conrad, Sarah Eileen Cosentino. Madison Michelle DeSalvo. Emily Demoski. Nina Dunn. Victoria Rose Eisenhower. Sage Foss. Abigail Garcia. Olivia Rose Goldstein. Molly Jane Gorman. Emily Kate Gurin. Angelina Rose Hall. Paige Riley Holtmeyer. Emily Ann Hansel. Kimberly Haskup. Reese Kaylee Henderson. Skylar Ann Jamie Holly. Bianca Josephine Hunsinger. Yuhan Jiang. Simran Khalida. Natalie Kaminsky. Colleen Kelly. Cameron Elizabeth Coe. Evelyn Coe. Nicole Cameron Kostecki. Ashley Kropinski. Mia Kurzer. Kira Marie Lahart. Gianna Catherine Lascala. Cotton Lee. Skylar Amanda Lee. Alanis Light. Blarina Lecca. Abigail Leung. Gianna Maria Labasso. Esme Isabella Lockwood. Nyasia Diora Lovelace. Erin Marie Makanga. Adriana Maella. Allison M. Massey. Elena Bajars McGovern. Amanda McGrogan. Miriam Mosen. Kiara Moon. Juliana Morella. Kate Motherway. Shrishti Nandi. Samiksha Nadasan. Christina Navarrete Carpizo. Anita Chi Wing Eng. Zanab Fatima Niazi. Nicole Marie Nochi. Alexandra Catherine Ohl. Allison Maureen Osmiansky. Gianna Lynn Palmasano. Yelizaveta Bodavina Pankiv. Shivani Parekh. Ayushi Jitendra Patel. Sonyu Nimesh Patel. Samantha Paige Paulin. Alyssa Gina Payne. Kelly Ann Phelan. Rachel Phillip. Ariana Pearson. Jordan Amanda Pleener. Victoria Popovska. Haley Quinn. Sarah Michelle Ray. Felicia Dinbandu Ramani. Isabel Nina Reed. Anna Lynn Rayberg. Anna Victoria Rios. Aliza Hussein Rizvi. Jacqueline Pearl Rondi. Sarah Hake Samdani. Mira Sapoznikov. Dominique Sawilju. Jacqueline Schneiderman. Rebecca Sherman. Livia Kanta Shine. Anjali Om Silveru. Jaden Taylor Silverberg. Amanda Jacqueline Simon. Kritika Rajendra Singh. Sehi Sun. Victoria Spiewak. Talia Stein. Christine Whiting Sun. Jenny YG Sun. Alyssa Nicole Supa. Amal Tahir. Anastasia Sophia Tashak. Amy Marie Testa. Khadija Thomas. Caitlin Esperanza Turch. Libby Torin. Jillian Amber Marie Trzynski. Clara Jean Tragani. Danielle Eden Tuckman. Hannah Marie Tumbokin. Kristen Tamino. Gianna Uccello. Sophia Caravelocci. Abigail Vidovich. Julia Waits. Amy Wang. Emily Wang. Emma Page Wax. Jennifer Rachel Weiss. Rachel Rose Weiss. Jessica Celeste Wellman. Ashley Ann Westergaard. Melissa Wright. Cindy Shi. Christine Yellen Yang. And Amy Zhang. Marco Francis Aiello. Milo Hanol Anderson. Christopher Perone Arena. Muthu Ganesh Arunachalam. Cameron Aslanian. Maxim Bukowski. Christoph Martin Behrens. Michael Raymond Benno. Cody Russell Benson. Edward Bernardo. Robert Charles Bio. Frederick Blake. Drew Taylor Bornstein. Karnik Robert Badugian. Nicholas Brown. Michael Charles Burke. Aiden Joseph Bush. Dylan James Byrne. Devin Flynn Burns. Julian Orlando Cali. Michael Capuccio. Kyle Andrew Casarico. Benjamin Allen Case. Nathaniel Luke Chan. Peter Sionfuk Chang. Darren Chia. Minwoo Choi. Timothy Chun. Evan Jared Serkis. Brian Clayton. Thomas John Conklin. Michael Joseph Conrad. Richard George Deary IV. Alexander John Demergian. Yafim Patrice Desir. Vincent Donkos. Andrew John Donnelly. Benjamin William Donnelly. Joshua Dratler. Ryan Dratler. Jack Duddy. Matthew Joseph Faulkner. Matthew Ryan Feinstein. Zachary John Philly. Noah Samuel Fox. Brett Levin Freeman. Benjamin F. Gabriel. Jeffrey David Gallup. Alexander Jason Garcia. Javier Anthony Garcia. Derek James Gilmore. Jordan Lee Godfrey. James Nicholas Gomez Solis. Andrew Matthew Gorski. Zachary Green. Shrikar Sai Gudamela. Maxwell Allen Gunnison. Jordan Philip Haft. Anwen He. Sean Matthew Healy. Joseph Thomas Haney. Ethan Jake Horowitz. Ryan Jeffrey Howard. Anthony Ianizelli. Alex Leonard Ervolino. Manjot Singh Jaswal. Shenghan Jiang. Albie Varghese John. Ryan Philip Kawadi. Michael Ryan Kaiser. Andrew David Kalemba. Daniel Caston. Max Stephen Catterman. Logan Scott Kane. Zachary Alexander Kirshner. Brandon Henry Kohler. Scott Robert Coleridge. Hunter William Colmoden. Matthew William Crace. Jackson McMahon Kroll. Stefan Walter Crisina. Casper Lau. Seungho Leopold Lee. Christopher Light. Unish Limbu. Andrew Lin. Timothy Liu. Nicholas Vincent Leza. Patrick Evan Loftus. Giovanni Lagrasso. David Lopez. Matthew Charles Lorenzo. Jordan Michael Thomas Lowe. Colin James Mahan. Marco Louis Mangano. Kevin Mao. George Margettis. Reese Marino Martinelli. Sean Allen McCauley. Gershom Chiliobwe McKenney. Brendan Cronin McHale. Sham Neelish Mehta. John Mergel. Maxwell Michael Metz. David Milaseski. Akshay Minosha. Hamza Mirza. Andrew Mojika. James Robert Montano. Ryan Daniel Moss. J. Sandeep Malay. Brandon Peter Navarro. Brandon Michael Neff. Christian James Nevy. Joseph Nuzzi. Stephen Timber Olson. Matthew Pack. Mahir Harish Paranjape. Andrew Todd Parisi. Krish Patel. Matesh Patham. Anthony Leo Pablakos. Brendan Peretta. Daniel Popoff. Lance Samuel Prince. Kyle Francis Quinn. Colin Regan. Paul Seth Roche. Daniel Roca. Sebastian Pierre Rochlor. Benjamin Christopher Rosenzweig. Charles Rubino. Daniel Rumsby. Hansla Saeed. Michael John Sakalakis. Nicholas James Santaswaso. Andrew Saucer. Daniel J. Shine. Scott Aaron Schneiderman. Bennett Keys Schwartz. Alexander Michael Liss Scalingo. Michael Joseph Sesko. Rohan Jignesh Shah. Amir Sharapov. Aditya Sharma. Ryan Simmons. Aryan Sinha. Paul Anthony Shmishkevich. Ibrahim Soliev. William John Stefanik. Jacob Stein. Zachary Thomas Sylvester. Matthew Joseph Swagalinski. Jason Amos Tan. Brandon Francis Teresa. John Thomas Ulikowski. Ryan Christian Vaug. Francisco Vasquez. Joseph Michael Veneri. Sharansh Verma. Zachary McKenna Walsh. Jack Abraham Weiss. Christopher Thomas Winrow de la Garza. Joseph Charles Wright. Keon Stephen Yu. Rami Zaku. Kevin Zikon Zhang. And Zachary Zink. As we wait for the last students to take their seat, and before we conclude our ceremony, I just want to let everyone know we'll be doing a recessional, which means we'll proceed out of here in an orderly fashion. Please follow the direction of the different staff who will be helping you get out of here so we can continue with social distancing. All right, everybody. Will the graduates please rise? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you and congratulate the class of 2020. This concludes our 2020 graduation ceremony. Congratulations, everybody. Try and hang in and let the staff help you through the recessional, everybody.